What's up, guys? Happy New Year. I know this is a little bit late, getting a video up for the first time this year, but here we are. Today's entry, the menu. Let's talk. So, if you know me at all, you know that I can appreciate a good dish, good food. I enjoy experiencing food. I enjoy trying my hand at trying to make things in the kitchen. I have fun, and it's a good sort of de-stressor for me sometimes to be in the kitchen for some hours. Sometimes you're in there and doing stuff, and I don't realize how much time has passed. It's a little bit surprising sometimes. But The Menu is one of those movies that's really spoke to that part of me, and it's in a way it's a perfect marriage for me. It combines film stuff, cinematics with food, and in the best way, just with the subtext and themes and stuff aside, it's fun to watch. It's a beautiful film, and it really brings in a lot of the things that I enjoyed about things like the Chef's Table, the show on Netflix, which I've always found to be quite cinematic. I think The Menu is a film it's probably the best version of what Chef's Table would be if it were a movie, and not what it is on Netflix, documentary type series, which is fantastic, by the way. The Chef's Table is one of my favorite food shows, food properties. I love, particularly because of the cinematics of it, how everything is shot. Every dish is beautifully composed, and it's a nice sort of. It just makes you wonder the amount of work that goes into preparing not only the dishes, like cooking the dish, but the art of plating the dish, like the presentation of a dish. I've always had this conversation. I had this conversation for a long time over the years with a dear friend of mine, a fellow creative and artist. And presentation was always one of the things that we came to when we went out to eat places. We would go and have sushi or go to have like a sandwich somewhere or whatever it is, and at least once during almost every time we went out to eat, we would comment on the presentation of something if it looked aesthetically pleasing. And I think I love that about Chef's Table. I love that about The Menu. So what is The Menu about? If you don't know what The Menu is about, let me tell you what it's about. It's about a group of people, rich, who are whisked away to this island where they are to enjoy food experience or food experiences. An evening of the most fancy, lyrical, artfully produced food ever. And this is sort of billed as sort of the food experience of all food experiences for these people. I'm just saying that. I don't know if it's actually billed that way, but this is how I viewed it. And you have Ray Fiennes, who plays the sort of head chef. He is sort of the man of the hour. He is the leader. He is, and essentially the antagonist of this story. But he's not just being antagonistic for the sake of it. There's a method to what he's doing. There's a reason for what he's doing. What we come to discover is that everyone at this dinner is supposed to be there, and they are supposed to be punished. Everyone except Anya Taylor-Joy's character, who we discover isn't actually supposed to be there. And there's more than meets the eye to her character. And that's all I'll say. In case you haven't seen the movie, I really think, first of all, it's worth watching. For film heads and foodies, it's worth watching. So get out of the way. I recommend the film. So watch it. I think you'll come away with not only a something to think about with this film, and you'll be able to laugh a little bit at what it's clearly there's some satirical elements of the film. You think of fancy food and foodie culture, and what that's about, and how there is a sense of sort of pretentiousness among certain people in the community, or in that sort of vein. I mean, I think you can be a foodie and not have to be the person who is commenting on the ingredients of the dish that you're eating to everyone at the table, like to kind of show off that you know everything that's in it, that you know the process that was used. And look, I'm not above every now and again trying to. I'm not above getting into that, but for me, I think I try to. It's more of a curious approach. Like, I might go out to eat and I'll be eating something. Oh man, I think there's cinnamon in this. I think there's this and this and that. Not like, oh, obviously they did this. There's a difference. I think there's a way to approach sort of a fine dining experience and not come off as like the know-it-all jerk. I like to more enjoy the experience and approach it from a curious perspective, so that in case I want to make this stuff myself, I have an idea of what's going on, because I'm also not beyond trying to make the stuff that I eat at places. And I think this movie is it's funny, it's disturbing in some respects, and it is thought-provoking. There's a conversation to be had about the industry of sort of food service and the levels of it, and the sort of inherent the classism in that, in a way. If you're rich and you can afford the most ridiculous meals that may not look like much, and only you rich people can afford that, there's a conversation to be had there about what that is about. Why that kind of experience isn't more widely accessible. You have to go to sort of these fine dining places that cost an arm and a leg to get in, to get a plate. And I think the menu addresses that directly. It addresses the inherent problems with that, and addresses the sort of the darker side of that, and not just that, but sort of as a byproduct of the coming from the high-end food experience and the sort of high-end lifestyles that the attendees at the dinner engage in. There's a dark side to those things too, which is why they're all there. Mostly. The majority of them are there for that reason. There's like a dark side to what's going on with them that we discover through as we watch the situation. And even to Ray Fiennes' character, to the chef, he's not above, he's not beyond reproach, we'll say. He is he's got some things to address, and feels he also deserves to be a part of the ultimate experience, in which people have to die. The other thing that's great about the film is, aside from the visuals, it's fantastically shot. It's beautiful. it's as if the film was made around Chef's Table. It's that kind of situation. Like they made a movie and put in Chef's Table things, and that's endlessly cool to me. I think the writing is very strong. It's very well written. It's witty. It's got some sharp, punchy aspects of dialogue, and Ray Fiennes has these wonderful monologues. I think I was at least tearing up with at least one of those monologues. Really got me. I'll have to probably do another video or do something where I talk about that, because that monologue was fantastic. It was the most electric thing I'd seen in some time, and it hit me in the heart about like talking about not just food, but the experience of food and the human experience, and what humans are, being alive. And I have to probably talk about that, because it was quite moving. But the next to that, the best thing about the film, next to the food and how it's shot, next to the writing and the fantastic monologues delivered by Ray Fiennes, the best thing about the film is the dynamic between Ray Fiennes and Anya Taylor-Joy's characters. They are the conversation of this film. They really encapsulate what this film is about. These two ends of the same coin. These two sides of the same coin. These two ends of the same spectrum. And you have Ray Fiennes' character who's had an interesting sort of arc, who started out as this chef, who's passionate and enjoyed what he did. And by the time we meet him in this movie, he's lost all of his passion for what he's doing. He actually really doesn't like cooking anymore. He does it, he seems to do it almost begrudgingly. Like he's getting paid a lot of money to do it, and but also at this point in time in the film, he is on a mission. So at least that night, the experience of the menu, he's got something to say. He's got a message to deliver, and he's going to deliver this message. So it's not about cooking. It's not about the joy of cooking or the experience of that. It's about the message, and you're going to get it. That's what this is about. Anya Taylor-Joy's character comes from a different world. She really doesn't care about this situation. She doesn't care about the pretentiousness, and she doesn't care about the food. In fact, she wants real food, not like this fancy stuff that's being served. She wants real stuff. She's a real situation, real person from the streets, from the world. She's earthy, and there's a mysteriousness about her, and that's fantastic. You want to know more about who she is and what she does and how she figures into the larger conversation of the story. And I think when you watch the film and you see what role she plays, I think the film is that much better for it. And you have her, going toe to toe essentially with Ray Fiennes' character, and they're sort of evenly matched in that way. And I think there's something really, the fact that they have an understanding, there's an understanding that they share, is really cool. Actually, it's cool to see. And there's something almost that comes off as though they appreciate one another, even though they're on the opposite end. They're sort of at odds, but the subtext of that is like, oh, okay, I see you, you see me. We know what we're really talking about. No one else here really gets this, but we know what the real deal is, and that's kind of cool, even though they're sort of operating at the opposite end of the conversation, and yet equally, what they bring is equally valid to the conversation of the film and what their characters are talking about. So that's probably my favorite element of the film. It's great character stuff, great writing, and the film essentially takes place on the island in this place, which it's kind of like, I'm a fan of films that take place in a single location, and it almost, always reminds me of Die Hard. Die Hard is like, I feel like it's, any film that does that, it always goes back to, it's like Die Hard in, fill in the blank. Die Hard on an island. Die Hard with food, Die Hard meets Chef's Table on Island. Go. That's what this movie is. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think I think it's philosophical without trying to be. It is poetic without trying to be. There's a lyricality about it. There's also an element of it that's intentional. There's an intentional approach to making fun of foodie culture and the people who engage in it in a way that that they come up as jerks, like food critics, for instance. Not good ones, but obviously ones that are that don't really think about the humans behind the food they're criticizing. I know they have a job to do, like movie critics do. Or like any other critic of something. There's a sense there's a lot of power in if you're in a certain position, like one of the critics in the film, food critics in the film. She has tremendous power, and her word can essentially make or break a restaurant, and that power is why she's there. Which being rich affords you some power. You have hedge fund bros who are at this dinner as well, who have a certain degree of power and sort of privilege, and they come with a sense of entitlement. This is a problem too. This is an issue. You have washed-up actor John Leguizamo plays sort of an actor beyond his prime who's hoping to get back into the limelight. There's a certain power in that too, being someone who's recognizable, and it's he's there for an unfortunate reason. But I think still there's a certain level of, and then Julian, Ray Fiennes' character, he's a powerful person. Like I said, he's the VIP of the evening, and he's the one teaching people lessons and stuff like that. And there's a certain level of power there, which is, and he is not separating himself from the punishment that he feels that everyone is supposed to be to receive for their transgressions and their crimes. Look, it's a fun film. I think it'll make you think. It'll make you hungry, but I highly recommend it. And in fact, I want to watch it again at some point. If you haven't seen The Menu, do yourself a favor and please watch it, because I think it's very good. It's well acted, well written, well shot, and it's just the sort of unique, kind of film that I haven't quite seen anything like it. And that's the kind of stuff we need more of. Things that are so unique and thought-provoking, and then the overall fun experience. You'll laugh, you'll shriek, you get the full spectrum of stuff. So definitely check out The Menu, and come on back here, because I'm going to ramp out some more reviews real soon. So in the meantime, I'm out of here. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you later.